I'm one of the facilitators for the advanced online facilitation course that ANZPOP is running, and I just thought I'd give a bit of a whistle-stop tour through the 4 different areas that we're attending to in this course program, just to give you a bit of a taste. So what do we mean by inner work? I mean, essentially, it's really our ability to facilitate ourselves internally whilst we're facilitating a group. And so we refer to inner work both as a tool that you can use and draw upon beforehand, so to prepare for your work facilitating groups, but also as a tool that you can use in the moment in groups to both give you data and also as a tracking device. Inner work's really important because we need to know, for example, on a personal level, our hooks and triggers, both for the safety of the groups that we're holding and working with, but also for our own safety and in terms of making it sustainable for us, particularly if you're a facilitator that facilitates in high conflict environments, for example. The other really important and distinctive factor about inner work from a process-oriented lens is that inner work relates to the group dynamics, or what we would call the field. So if you think about the group as a field, we would think that as a facilitator, you too are part of that field. You're actually part of the group. We like to think of ourselves as neutral, but in reality, we're not. We're actually part of the dynamic. And so when I'm picking up reactions in myself or things I'm noticing, then chances are that's also part of the dynamics of the group. And so it's about better understanding, better being able to distinguish between what's mine and knowing what's my stuff. But also, when we know that, we can also start to go, and there's something else here. And then when we can identify that, we can bring it in for the benefit of the group, and we can actually use it as a guide, as a compass, and as tactic as well, where we can actually bring it in and go and check it out with the group, because it can often surface unsaid things. If I think of an example, I can think of, let's say you've got a group where I'm, as a facilitator, I'm noticing that I'm really strongly, I'm getting quite a lot of feeling about one particular side of a group. You know, I might notice that I'm really siding with one side. Now, I could treat that in a number of different ways as a facilitator. You know, on one hand, I could go, oh my God, this is my own stuff, put it aside and ignore it. On another level, I could overcompensate for it. I could say, I should really be more neutral, and I'm not. So I'm going to really work hard to take this other side. Or I might go, okay, wow, why am I feeling so strongly about this? And how is this relevant to what we're talking about? And also the particular dynamics of this group. It might be that bringing that in some way as a facilitator might enable the group to actually go deeper. And part of what I'm picking up is an energy in the group that is not being named. So onto edge work. What's an edge? We refer to an edge as like a boundary or a threshold, really between what is known and understood and what is unknown and uncomfortable often. Now, we all have individual edges. We all have our own individual edges to things, and they're often around our identity. But groups also have edges and identities. So really, we're looking at how to navigate that as a facilitator, and particularly how to diagnose where the edge is in a group, and there'll be multiple, but what's the most relevant and where they're coming up, because part of our job as a facilitator is to be able to hold the group at its edge, and you're not trying to push or push them over onto something else, but actually hold a group at its edge, because that is where the learning and the development of the group is at. And so by holding them there, that's for the benefit of the group. I might put up a little diagram of just how edges, what edges look like in groups. So we'll put up a little diagram to just give you a bit of a sense of how edges manifest. To the negotiating agreement part of this course. So let's imagine a particular gathering that you're facilitating. It's a local community group, and they're meeting to discuss neighbourhood watch and decide on a way forward. Now, likely you're going to have people bringing in all different sorts of views or opinions. You're going to get a person that holds a lot of airtime at the expense of maybe other voices in the group. You'll get people that don't speak at all. You'll probably get somebody that wants to jump straight to action. Or you might have so many competing needs that there's a sense of overwhelm and hopelessness. And these include, so one of the things we look at here are tools for how to identify and enable the different parts, how to enable that they get heard, knowing that when different parts don't get heard, things tend to amplify in groups. But also a particular diagnostic tool that's really useful for facilitators is knowing and understanding the natural phases that groups cycle through. And all groups cycle through these constantly. And so one of the tools that we can use as facilitators in our toolkit is actually to be able to identify what phase the majority of the group is in, because that's going to give you a whole lot of information about the sort of interventions that are going to get picked up or that are going to get rejected. Because if you place an intervention that's in a different phase to where the group's at, it's likely to not land. So part of this part of the course is actually around learning about those group phases, how they manifest, and the sort of tools and techniques you can use to aid negotiating agreement. And the last part of this series is in power, rank, and privilege in the facilitator role. It's a really big topic, and we only touch upon it, in this 3 hours. It's only right at the surface of it. But in terms of what we do cover, this is really about identifying tools for noticing and facilitating power dynamics in groups, and particularly both in the groups that you facilitate, but also in your processes as a facilitator and how you structure the sort of things you facilitate. So we've all got blind spots, and part of this is actually identifying what they are, knowing that you'll always have more, but also learning to appreciate where we do have power, because that's really important for that blind spot piece, because it's often when we underestimate that we can overcompensate or inadvertently cause problems because of it, because we don't acknowledge our own power. It's also about knowing your triggers on the safety level, and also we look at the hidden assumptions in facilitation and around power and facilitation. So things like being able to identify and notice structural racism, being able to become aware and bring awareness to things like style bias. So if we make choices without awareness, we can inadvertently marginalize parts of the group. So this course is really around attending to those particular elements. We hope you'll join us for all of these, and I hope this gives you a bit more of a sense of it. Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you at the course. Thanks.